Welcome to another episode of the Meal Prep Monday podcast. I'm your host, Allison Schaaf, and today I'm talking about kitchen gadgets, a few that I think are really worth it, and then also a few that I would say skip. So this episode is brought to you by Prep Dish. If you have not tried out our time-saving meal prep meal plans, you can head to prepdish.com/MPM, short for Meal Prep Monday, and try us out for free. If you are on your phone and just want to look at what a meal plan looks like really quick, you can text 33777. So that's the number that you'll enter is 33777. And then enter the word meal prep, all one word, and we'll guide you through how to get just a plan emailed to you immediately. So that's a good way to just try out our beginner menu, I think is what we call it. It's one that'll just take you through step by step what our meal plans look like, how to use it, give you an idea for that. Okay, so today's episode, I've done episodes like this in the past, but it's been a while, and I like to talk about like things that I like in the kitchen, but also there's so much in the kitchen that I feel like isn't quite, it just takes up too much real estate, right? Like I actually am a fan of, I did a recent episode on complexity versus simplicity, and I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, I should have included kitchen equipment because I really don't think there's a lot of fancy equipment that is necessary, especially when we do our meal plans. I try and make sure not to like, oh, you need this one random kitchen gadget to make this recipe, especially because I know people are entering using our meal plans at all different stages. And if you're brand new to our meal plans, the last thing you want to do is have to go out and buy some piece of equipment to do X, Y, or Z. So, but there are a few that I do. I'll start with the ones that I like and that I think are worth, I guess, I'm going to say investing in. Some of these, it's just, there's three and they're not a huge investment. Number one would be a good peeler. So if you have a potato, carrot peeler and you think it's just like, okay, then definitely recommend upgrading to one that's really good. You want to be peeling your carrots and potatoes and have it go really quick and have it be, it's so funny, but I think when you upgrade these little things, it just makes time in the kitchen more enjoyable. So I would highly suggest that you make sure and upgrade really anything in the kitchen, especially the smaller things. If it's like something that when you look at that item, you have like a bit of dread, like, oh, I don't want to, like if you don't enjoy peeling potatoes, then maybe consider upgrading your peeler to see if that helps. And I'm going to try and maybe link in the show notes or link to somewhere of the ones that I like. But as I talk about a lot, I'm not going to talk about knives today. I've done whole episodes on that, but it's kind of the same thing with some of these items. Like a peeler is kind of similar to a good kitchen knife where it's I really like this brand of chef knife, but that may not be your preference based on your preference, right? What feels good in your hand may not be the same as what feels good in my hand. So anyway, I will share one that I like, but also find one that really kind of speaks to you and that you love. The second one, and I almost hesitated to put this, but those little lemon and lime juicers, I'm kind of surprised I'm saying this. This is something my husband already had when we met. And so we've had it in our kitchen and I have gotten to where I use it a lot. And you will see when I get to the items I don't like, usually my take on things is if it only serves one purpose, then it's a no, because why do I need that? But one, I use a lot of citrus juice in prep dish recipes, but just in my life. I will say I do lemon water every morning and I don't use the lemon juicer. I just find it's easier to squeeze. But for recipes when I really need a lot or a specific amount, I use this little, you've probably seen them. It's yellow and green and it's kind of you get the juice out and they really do get a lot more juice, a lot less mess. And even though it's one purpose, it's something that I do use often because lemon and lime and even orange juice is something that I use quite a bit in marinades and different recipes. So that's something that I would recommend adding to your kitchen. The next one is a really good grater. I think it's just called a grater. I call them microplanes, the long skinny ones. And they are kind of specific, but there's multiple things you can use it for. So zesting citrus, grating ginger. You can use it for grating garlic. I don't use it for grating garlic. I feel like it just kind of is easier to chop garlic, but it is good for grating garlic. It's also really good for adding, you know how recipes call for, just a pinch of fresh nutmeg. I think that gets overlooked as a thing to do in recipes. And if you have this like microplane grater zester, like really easy to just pull out a little nutmeg thing and add just, you know, that little fresh nutmeg. I really like it there's different recipes. I think sometimes in baked good, nutmeg can really like add that flavor, but different soups, especially, I love like a pureed vegetable type soup, like a parsnip or a potato or something like that. And sometimes soups like that, just like the smallest little touch of fresh nutmeg can really make a difference. And that microplane is going to help you accomplish that. Okay, so the gadgets that I don't think are worth it are basically any items that only do one thing. So things like the egg slicer, the strawberry popper, the watermelon slicer, this thing cuts your pineapple, and this thing cuts your avocados, and all of those. I mean, I guess if it's something you eat all the time and you use it and you're like, oh my God, I love this. It makes cutting this whatever produce is so much fun. Then you buy it. But that you will not find any of those in my kitchen. I would argue that most, if not all of those items, if you just kind of Google the correct way to slice them, it'll make it really easy. It's just kind of like learning the best method to cut. Like, so watermelon's a good example. I actually, for a year, did YouTube videos, and quite a few of those are like how to cut certain things. So like I did do like my method for cutting a whole watermelon. And then like recently on, so if you follow, we're at Prep Dish on Instagram, and I try to do reels every now and then. And really they're just kind of like real life, here's what I'm doing. And I think this would be helpful for all of you to see. So I turned it into a reel. And one of those was like how to cut jicama. Because I think jicama is like really overlooked. It's a great vegetable to snack on. My boys love it. And once you know, like, oh, here's this easy way to cut it, then it's like an easy thing to add into your life. So, but any of these things, I think if you kind of learn a good way to cut it, then you really just need a good knife. You don't need a specific thing. So that's my don'ts. It's really just one big category but I guarantee if you Google it, you could find like probably 50 different items under this category. So hopefully I just saved you 50 items in your kitchen that you definitely do not need. So that's the episode. So hopefully this helps. I would encourage you to like look in your kitchen, see what's in there, upgrade things that if there's anything that frustrates you, maybe that's a good thing to start with, to like upgrade, swap out, get rid of if it's something you don't need. If there's something that you find challenging, then maybe there is a tool. Maybe it's something you need to look for. If there's anything that comes to mind, feel free to post in our Facebook group. I'll link that in the show notes, or, send a message on Instagram. Happy to talk further about kitchen gadgets. I know that's a well-liked conversation that we have on this podcast and just amongst Prep Dish subscribers. And speaking of Prep Dish, if you're not currently a subscriber and you'd like to try out our meal plans, you can head to prepdish.com/MPM to get 2 weeks for free. I promise no fancy gadgets needed. We try and keep it simple for you. We want to simplify your life, not complicate, simplify. So that's prepdish.com/MPM. That's all I have for this week. I will be back again next Monday with another episode.